Hello, everyone. Welcome to our fourth episode of Me series. We have here really lively crowd of guest panels from all across the world. I can tell you. So, just a little bit opening from our episode here. So today's topic is about foreigners in Malaysia, and today after covering for almost three episodes, understanding about how our locals here are facing difficulty during the MCO time, the movement control order. Today we've decided to give a little more external perspective to see how our foreigner friends who are currently studying or staying or working here in Malaysia are doing so far with our movement control order. So let's start with a little brief introduction. Perhaps we can have each of our guests here to introduce themselves and also to explain where they're from and also for how long they've been here in Malaysia. So maybe we can start with Marie first.
Hello everyone, I'm Mary Augustine Lafontaine. I'm from Mauritius. I've been in Malaysia for over 2.5 years since I'm doing my degree here in business management at Stanford University. And I'm came in August 2017, and my last semester has started this Monday and will be ending in July. So this will be my last semester in Malaysia.
All right, thank you. Welcome, Mary. Okay, let's have Andy here to introduce himself. Andy.
All right. Hi everyone. My name is Andy. Very glad to see everyone here. So I'm from China and I've been in Malaysia for more than 3.5 years right now. So I finished my degree in Malaysia. Then after that, I went to a internship. Then after my internship, I continued to study in Monash University for my master's in mass communication and media studies.
Okay, yes. Welcome, Andy. Welcome. Okay, finally we have Michael. Hello, Michael. Let's introduce yourself.
Yeah. Hi everyone. My name is Michael. I'm from Nigeria. I've been in Malaysia for 18 years now. I'm currently the head of sales for Lidronomics Digital. It's an amazing country and 30 years and counting.
Yay! Right. Thank you everyone for their very brief and interesting introduction. So as you can see, we have a very interesting group of guests over here. So to begin with, I just want to share a little about now that you have making a choice to study and working here in Malaysia, I just want to have a little understanding so far right now. How have you been doing with the current movement control order implemented? Maybe we can start with Andy first. How has it been going on? Because you're from China, I'm so curious about how is it going on for you here. Could you share a little?
All right. It's a long journey, honestly, because when I was in China before I came here, because I just arrived here for like a month. So before I came here, my hometown, my city was basically is also undergoing a movement control. So we don't go out and we stay at home for the entire Chinese New Year until the day I left my country to Malaysia. And when I arrived here, University Monash, they request all the international students to undergo a 14 days self-quarantine. So after the 14 days self-quarantine, then it comes the MCO, the movement control. So it has been a long journey for me, and I think I'm already get used to it because it's movement control every day. So yeah, from both countries.
So from both sides, let me get it from both sides. From China, you have been when you went back to China, you were in a quarantine for movement control for about 14 days, and then after that, from there you came here to Malaysia, and now you're having another movement control for another, I think more than 3 weeks right now. I think 3 weeks and still counting. So you have almost been in a quarantine stage for almost I think I could say a month plus right now.
A month plus 2 months. Yes.
Yeah, a month plus 2 months. Wow. So I think you're really getting used of this quarantine stage that you're at right now. So maybe we can.
Yes, I'm kind of afraid of the word 15, like 14. Yes.
14.
Like 14, like another 14, another 14, another 14. Yes, so I'm quite.
Maybe we can have Michael to to share a little bit. How are you doing so far?
Um, I kid you not, my job as head of sales requires me to go out and meet clients.
Yes.
And now that's not happening anymore because of the MCO COVID-19 situation. I think more so as a foreigner in Malaysia or anywhere in the world, the first thing we tend to look for is some community, right? Because we don't have family members around us. So
Yes.
we look for people, friends of different culture, race, just to have a sense of belonging. And some of us have it, some of us don't. And I typically find my friends at work. I go to work every day, client, that's a form of community. Now, all of that is gone. There's no face-to-face interaction. I'm all by myself at home for the past 2 weeks. And it's all work on the screen, TV screen, really exhausting. And when we get information via WhatsApp or through various mediums, it's always in Basmala. We really can understand what's being said. It's a bit challenging, and I hope this ends and we get back to normal. Doing things.
Definitely,
Uh,
definitely.
but
So we will
it will
definitely
help.
get into that topic very soon, especially the part you're talking about, the announcement part. So maybe we have Mary first to share a little bit about your experience, then we're going to get into details of it. Mary?
So basically, just before the MCO period, I was doing my internship and I ended like on the Friday before.
The lockdown.
Yes, so
Oh,
yeah, so I was like very fortunate enough like to end before and don't have like to deal with this. And then it was it was like a dilemma for me because I was trying to think, should I go back to my country or should I stay here? Because and then there was some friend who was going back because I just came. I went for holidays in December, so that's why I was thinking, should I go back or should I stay? Because and then I have one last semester to do, and my country at this time was clear, there was no coronavirus, so that's why I was thinking, should I go, should I stay?
yeah.
But then make the decision to stay because the government was actually quarantine all the person coming from affected areas.
Yeah.
So I don't risk myself and be in contact with someone which might have been affected by this virus in the quarantine there. So that's why I made the decision. Okay, I will stay here. And there was some friend also who stayed here. So I'm not lonely, very lonely, but trying to go through it. And now with my online classes, it's better.
Yeah, I think that's definitely one point that Michael and Mary here has stated, and that was also one point that I wanted to highlight about because so far, usually, what happened is if foreigners they are staying here in Malaysia, most of the time you may have very limited of contact personal person that you in contact with, right? Maybe it could be your friends, maybe it could be your peers, it could be your colleagues, but for Michael's case, I think Michael's case may not be too. I'm not too sure about your issue from your side. When at times of lockdown right now, that you may have a restriction of actually going out and in contact, who do you actually approach to if you need some assistance, especially because you are a foreigner, right? So you might need some locals help assistance in terms of I don't know, maybe getting groceries or knowing about the whereabouts or what to do. Do you have actually someone that you are in contact with?
So I'm very fortunate to work with such an amazing organization. My colleagues and I talk almost every day, and my HR head sends out emails and communicates with us on a daily basis on what's really going on out there. In regards to groceries, I live just next to a grocery store, so I'm very fortunate. So I wouldn't complain.
That's
Uh,
great.
so I think for me, I'm the exception, not the norm, because of my location and the fact that I have such great colleagues and peers I work with, and they keep me up to date on what's really going on. If I have a question that I feel I cannot understand just in a foreign language, I can send to them and they respond accordingly. So I think to that question, I don't have so much of an issue thus far.
So I guess for Michael's case here, he has a lot of his peers, his colleagues, and his friends from his company who's very supportive and helping him. But I guess some of us may not be as lucky as that. Like maybe Andy, you can share as well. How is it so far from your side? Do you have any of your friends to actually help you with at times of need? Because now I think you've been quarantined for a very long time. How do you get in touch with the external people out there?
For me, I also encountered what Michael encountered before is because the language here, because all the statement or the announcement, like the following states and what to do, what we can do, what we cannot do, is all, I think, is all in BM. So it's really hard for me, for myself, and for the student from China to understand what should we do.
Right.
Are we allowed to exit the country, exit Malaysia to go back our country? Because after the march of the 18th of March.
Yeah.
So, but for myself, I decided to stay here. Then if I have any issues, I will actually to reach out for help from my former colleagues and my classmates to check their response and seeking for their help. So I think I'm still doing good here. So I guess that's what other Chinese students are doing right now, because we reach out for help, for translation, for things that we have, the issues that we have encountered.
Right, right. Okay. So, Marys, do you, in your case, how are you? How do you have anyone that you have, any friends of yours that you can actually in contact with? Because I think you're still quite new here in Malaysia, right? So, have you had any friends or contacts that you have dealing with?
Actually, most of my friends are international students too. But yes, but I have a lot of friends from Indonesia also. Like it's like quite close with the Bahasa Melayu here. But I didn't face really language problem, because I think most of the people that I have to talk to, they can have the conversational English. And but also the university, they have the international student office, where they send regular emails to tell us what the government is saying and what the government is expecting from us, and what are the penalties if we don't do what is required from us. And also the university had to have like they send out a link to know how many students are here, how many students are staying around the university. And for the grocery shopping, we have our club and societies. They send us the different online stores that we can buy from. But like, unfortunately, all the slots were booked, so I have to go out and buy it. But it was okay.
Yeah, I think yes, definitely getting groceries and getting your daily necessities is definitely one of the key issues to look into. So most important, I would say, it's actually your internet connection. So I just want to understand right now, so far, are you relying on internet data or for Wi-Fi, or do you actually have a limitation of internet that you have right now that it's considered still survivable? Marie, do you have any? Are you relying on Wi-Fi or internet connection?
I'm relying on Wi-Fi right now. Are you like, is the quality okay?
The quality is a bit blurry at times, but I can see. Oh, so it's Wi-Fi right now that you're relying. So you're relying on your school Wi-Fi right now.
Yeah, the hostel Wi-Fi.
Andy, from your side, are you relying on in data or internet or Wi-Fi?
I'm relying on Wi-Fi.
Also from the school as well. So I
No,
think
it's from my apartment.
Oh, from your apartment. How is the
Yes.
quality actually? Is it okay?
Audio wise, still okay. I can hear clearly.
Okay.
I'm not sure from your end how the audio from.
A bit blurry actually from our side, the video, but yeah, I can see. I think so. Two of you actually rely. Michael, from your side, I think you will also rely on internet or Wi-Fi connection.
Yeah, Wi-Fi connection from the building, it's not great because I think everyone is at home, so it's kind of overcrowded. So we make the best, do the best we can.
Yeah, because I think this is one of the issue as well that we are facing, because we do have some of our foreign colleagues who are working with us, and it's also one of the struggle that they're having, because having internet connection is going to be a difficulty. So for them to get access into news and get access into information is a bit more lagging at times. So that is definitely one of the key issue. And some of them actually have issue, like if they were to purchase data, they want to get extra data, but they can't purchase because they are foreigner, and most of the data plans that are available are mainly meant for local citizens only. So those this can be actually an issue as well. For just to understand as well, because Michael and Andy, both of you have mentioned this many times, that understanding and coping with the announcement made in Bahasa, Bahasa Malaysia, can be a difficulty, correct? So that could be something. So how do you keep track of it? So you have HR to translate, or your peers to translate for you?
So I think for the most part, for me, every day my HR team sends out updates, messages, the situation in the country, what to do, what not to do. So that kind of covers most of it. And I watch the news at home, Al Jazeera and other mediums, to get a sense of what's happening to the world as well. So that kind of keeps me up to date. The ones that come in Bahasa Melayu, I just find a way to translate on Google. And it's not always perfect, but
Yeah.
we kind of get the gist of it. So that kind of works thus far.
Yeah. So from Andy's side, you're also relying from your friend, is it, in terms of translation wise basis?
Actually, for myself, I follow some local newspaper on Facebook.
Mm.
So sometimes they would translate it in English and tell what's the instructions. And at the same time, we also have our own China student group, like a WeChat group or some group online, so we can share the information that we collect. Then we post it in the groups to let everyone know about the updates and all. Yes.
So I did hear that actually some of you, especially from Mary's side, she actually has the intention of thinking twice of should she go back to her country or should she not. Does it occur as well to any of you two to decide, maybe is there a possibility of going back or not during times like this? But in this case, I think he definitely won't say no, because he went back and he came back here and it's still quarantined.
Yes.
So there's no difference from his side. So Michael, have you ever thought, but I know you've been here for 13 years, but have you thought, like, at any
Yeah.
point of time, that I kind of wonder what's going on in my country right now? Should I go back and check if everyone is okay as well?
Yeah, I mean, I thought about it a few times, but thank God for technology. So I talk to my mom on that video almost every day. I guess what's really going on in the country. So there's really hasn't been a need for me to go back yet, because if it gets worse, then going back not going to solve it, would you? Be part of the problem, I guess.
Yes.
So, and because Malaysia is doing pretty well in regards to covering the situation from spread. I think we're pretty much in a safe environment in Malaysia thus far, as compared to the cases in other parts of the world as well.
Yes.
So there's been no major reason to want to go back now or the next couple of months.
Marie, are you still in contact with your families back in Mauritius?
Yeah, so like I talk to my parents like every day, and that's a way like for me not to feel that lonely.
Okay. So do you still have thoughts, like, are you checking on them to see whether, or any of your friends that you're in contact with, if they are planning to go back or they are staying here, or what's the reason of them staying here?
But actually, we have like a Mauritian group where there are many international, like Mauritian students that are from different universities in Malaysia. And then there was a group of them who was willing to go back to Mauritius. I think they were trying to fly on Thursday or Wednesday. And then they were not able to go because the flight got canceled. And then like to other countries, I think is on the 30th of April. So basically, even if they want to go, it's not possible to go.
Yeah, I think the flight delay and all, and the restriction of the flights is gonna be a problem as well. Okay, so this is I'm moving on to a little bit more interesting ground, because I just want to hear from your suggestion. So you see, if you hear from the government's announcement that they are giving out some of the fundings, to support our locals, especially now in a lockdown, they may not have jobs, they may be in need of certain payment for loans and stuff, so they're giving them delays and stuff. So but this is meant for Malaysians. Perhaps, do you have any thought about, like, maybe should they implement some of help or funding for international foreigners, workers who's working here now in Malaysia? And perhaps you can suggest what are some of the help that you might need from their side. Maybe you can start with Mary first.
So basically, I'm not working here, so I don't know from this side, but being a student, and I think many international students, maybe that what they require first is like the psychological help, like to be able not because there are some students who are really lonely, so and they might not be able to handle that alone. I think maybe this kind of assistant will be great. And in terms of financial assistance, in for example, in my university, since everything is online now, and maybe in their country, in Malaysia itself, or back in their country, they're having a lot of financial difficulties because of the lockdown and everything. So everyone was having a petition, try to reduce the tuition costs, but then still haven't get back yet. But they have reduced, I think, the facility fee, something like that, and to but it's not a lot. But then the students are willing to have more reduction from that part, but university haven't said anything yet. So I think this is a way for the government to help the international student or even the Malaysian student studying in different universities.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good suggestion. Michael, any of your takes? What should government help to support that? Do you have any suggestion, perhaps?
I don't know whatnot, but I think every government's number one priority are citizens, right? Everyone else is secondary. And I think government is doing an amazing job making sure Malaysians have some kind of safety net. It extends beyond the 14th or the April. However, I'm very fortunate that I work for a company that makes sure all its foreign employees are taken care of. So as long as I have a job, I get paid, and I'm safe. But what about all the thousands of foreigners who don't have the same safety net as I do? What do they do then? You know, if the locals are getting a loan default of 6 months, I think some foreigners should have some, you know, a way to kind of help them as well ease the burden. They also have to pay rent and whatnot. And if they're affected and then these employers have to take care of them, you're in a huge situation that get very messy fast.
Sorry, maybe I can't quite catch the last sentence. Could you repeat again? What was your suggestion?
Yeah, so what I said was, if there is a way the government can extend policies to foreign as well, maybe at a different scale, it would be great because they'll also add to the economy of Malaysia. And
correct.
If they lose their job, the economy also suffers as well.
Yeah, that's true.
And they also have to pay their car loans. So it's not going to be easy for the majority of people who are foreigners in Malaysia. Some of us are very fortunate. We still have jobs. We're going to keep having jobs.
Yep.
What about those who might not be as fortunate as us? What do they do then?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
So maybe some of help of a funding in terms of monetary wise will be helpful, I guess.
Maybe if not fund some developments as well, you know, apply to great. You know,
right. Okay. Andy, from your side, any suggestion?
Actually, before I joined this meeting, I received an email from my university. It's about student compassionate and hardship package. So actually, from the email, actually the university is providing some, like for example, the emergency payment to the student. Like if you really need like cash right now, they can. So this amount of money is granted to you. So another one is the hardship packages, because when you encounter some financial difficulties because of the COVID-19 and all the lockdown policies, they offer a large amount of money to give the student for to support the international student here, and both international and student from local. So I think this is what the university did, and for the government here, I think it is a must for the government to stand out this time to support what's the people. I mean, for the small local business to the large corporate company, the government should come out and and help them, and at least show that they are backing their bones, and they have the government support to help them to get through this. Yes, because this is a hardship. This is a crisis that we are all undergoing right now. So we should stand together.
I think I truly can hear all of your thoughts about this. This is definitely a time where we really need some support and help. Well, it doesn't have to be monetary basis. It could be in the help of, providing them services or products or support of any means and ways to help to ease the current situation that everyone is having right now. That's definitely some of the help that perhaps the government could help as well. And I think most um, sometimes it's really not about just the monetary help. Of course, monetary help would be great as well, but of course sometimes it could be a services help that you can help and assist them to, in terms of psychology help, mental health help part, or perhaps providing some consultation services that could help to clarify for things. And I think this will really help very much for the international friends of ours who are here in Malaysia. I think that's very important as well. So truly hear from everyone, what do you think, what are your thoughts about this? Perhaps you can actually share a little bit about, how can we improve? How can we help to improve this situation for you guys? Maybe you can start with Andy first. How can we help to improve you?
I think for us is a student from China, because we did encounter some I met some students from China, and they said they were discriminated by local or someone. So that was the issue. So I think the government should actually to make a statement that people from China or people from my hometown or from China should not be discriminated. They should come out and send a message that because this is the crisis that we are going through, so we have to join together and support each other. In terms of the small detail thing is, for us, is like probably the government can help us to understand more in terms of the policy, in terms of because as international students, the first thing we thought about is when the lockdown happened was, can we go back or not? Can we leave the country or not to go back to our home country? So should be clear that time that, oh, this is the policy, you should not, you can or you cannot. Because of the visa, as international student, we all have the visa issue. So if the visa is overdue, and what's gonna happen, and how should we do, what should we do to deal with these issues? So yes, I think this is the few things that the government should improve probably.
Thank you, Andy. All right, Marie, from your side, how can we help you? What do you need from us?
I believe since I was in my semester break all this time, just started my new semester, I believe only if more fluent communication, and even like we delay to get the information, because if there is a live where the minister is announcing something, and then we don't get it right because it's only in Malay.
Correct,
but
correct.
I think go through English subtitles, because the auto-generated one is not clear. So if we can just get English subtitle from the media, will be great.
Yeah, that's definitely something we can help to improve on. Michael, anything to share? How can we help you? I know you get a lot of full support and help from your company already, but perhaps you might need our help in any way possible.
Yeah. I think Andy and Maria said quite a lot in regards to our communication, either Malawi or English, and things like visa. Everyone who is a foreigner needs to have a visa of some sort in the country. And I guarantee you, in the next month or weeks, quite a lot of people would require to get an extension of the visas. Visas might have expired.
Yeah.
I hope they are afforded some form of leniency or extension to get this visa renewed and processed. Because it could be a very foreigners. If visa gets cancelled, you get visa, that's your life due to absolutely chaos. So even if you're a student, it doesn't matter. It covers you as well. But I think more importantly is the communication, like Mary said. We need to know exactly what's going on as and when information is being pushed out. And when it's pushed out, what do we do? If we need to get help from police or the medical experts or immigration and what have you, that really help to go a long way. For most foreigners in Malaysia who don't speak or understand Bahasa Melayu. And those who don't have friends who they can reach out to, might actually see it as a very good opportunity to actually understand what's going on around them.
So I think that's very clear. That's a very important graph, because now we are now looking into really pretty technical terms, to technicalities, to look into like visas, like to renew it, and then to maybe to the permits, working permits. These are kind of the tricky grounds that they have that we are looking into, especially now that you are now here in Malaysia, and what if it's expiring? So what are we going to do with that, right? Correct. And then you can't go, can they renew it? What happens? Is there any technical, because you can't really just go out like that and do a renewal of your passport. It's pretty difficult right now. So that is definitely some things that they can actually look into in terms of that. All right. Thank you very much, everyone, for helping with it. And we have quite a vast participants today we have. So maybe we can open up the Q&A session for our participants. Do you have anything that you like to ask our guests today, or share your thoughts with our guests today? Anyone?
Yarsan, there is a question.
Yes.
Do you think foreign students should be allowed to have work permits in Malaysia, Farida?
Okay. So what do you think?
Mary, you're a student, you can go first.
Ladies first. Mary, what do you think?
I believe, yes, that will be great if we have a work permit in Malaysia. And this will be great for us and even for the economy also. Since if we can work, this means that most students will have the financial capabilities to come and study in Malaysia. So I think this will be a great thing for us.
Yeah.
Yes.
So maybe we can ask from a person who's currently working. Michael, what do you think? Is it very much helpful?
I think it's a no-brainer. I think part of the whole foreign, honestly, I think it's a no-brainer. I think part of the going overseas education is to be able to get an employment after you graduate.
Yes.
Right? And if you can't get that, the physical purpose of getting an education in the first place in a foreign country. And I studied here in Malaysia. I came here 13 years ago, did my undergrad. I was lucky to get a basketball scholarship. And I've been working for the past 9 years. There are a lot of talented foreign students who are in Malaysia who would like to stay on, but can't stay on because of the policies of the country.
Yeah.
I think it would only add value to the economy. If you have a diverse group of people in your country, you have different minds thinking the same goal. It only makes it better. And I have friends who work in oil and gas, who are foreigners as well, and they do an amazing job.
Yeah, agree.
But it's very tough. But I think if they flex the policy, it would be great. It would actually help a lot of more foreign students who have the right qualification to be part of society.
Yeah, I agree as well. Yes, definitely. Andy, any thoughts about this? Because I think Andy has also worked before in his internship here in Malaysia, besides just studying as well. So he might have some experience on this as well. What do you think, Andy?
Yes, I think actually my opinion is a little bit different, because I don't think the government should allow the international student to have a work permit here. But the reason for this is because when you go to work, you have, in terms of law, in terms of your protection insurance, because of this, probably the companies, they don't want to take you in because of you have extra works to do, extra like insurance and all other things to deal with. Another thing is for the protection of international students because of the language barrier and all this. So I don't think the government should allow the foreign student to have the work permit, but the government should help the international student to, for example, in terms of internship, in terms of their career after they graduate, if they want to work in Malaysia. So I think that is actually a better way for the government to deal with if the international student want to work here or to blend in or to have more interactive activities when they stay in Malaysia.
So what I understand from this is you are saying that, instead of just giving them a work permit, but perhaps to get the career services side from the institution to talk with some of the companies that they are open for hiring international students to come in to work with them, to give them more opportunities to actually go and progress in terms of their career enhancement wise, right? So
Yes.
that's also something that we can actually consider on. So instead of just blindly going and applying for jobs, so at least they are clear to know that there are some companies out there who really do give opportunities for foreign students and foreign international friends of ours to actually come and work here. We do know they are, so yeah, it's good opportunities for them as well. Thank you, Farida, for that question. Do we have anyone here who wants to ask any questions? Anyone else?
I have a question.
Yes, Anna. Yes. Hey.
Hi.
Hey, Anna. Still surviving?
I'm a little crazy, but I'm surviving. I'm surviving.
Great. Okay. Question. Yes.
My question was, do they think at some point the government would be sending back international students? I've been hearing some things going on. I'm not really sure exactly what's going on, but there might come a time where we have to go back home until everything's over. Do you think that might happen with the current situation going on?
This was a question to you.
Anna, who you want to ask
Anybody
this
can
question
answer.
to?
Anybody free to answer.
Okay, so I think your permit has an expiry date, right? It could be a 1 year or 2 year permit. It's contract between you and your employer. If at the end of you want to stay, your employer agrees for you to stay, they can extend your visa. But if they don't see a need to keep you on, then you have to exit the country. I think it's pretty clear to that point of view. So, to answer your question, Anna?
Anna?
Yeah, I couldn't really hear. The connection is really bad. Could you repeat what you said, please? Could you repeat the question?
Oh, Michael, could you repeat your question, because I think you are a bit breaking up in the voice part of it.
So Anna's question, correct me if I'm wrong, was that foreigners get to extend their work permit beyond when it expires?
Anna, is that your question?
No, my question was, do we think, like, with the current situation, that the Malaysian government will be sending back like international students and workers just for safety purposes? Because it has been like an ongoing rumor around. So I just wanted to ask, do you think it's a possibility, and if that might happen?
Okay. I really can't speak. I don't know for like that's happening. I'm not sure I can speak now. I haven't heard or seen any cases where that's happened. So I'm not really sure if that's going to happen or not.
Yeah. So I don't think that case may not be we may not be too sure, because even if it's a rumor, they're saying that they're going to send back students after they finished off the permit just to curb the situation. I'm not too sure if that is what is their intention right now. Don't think so. That's possible. We have a question to Michael by Karishma. So she's asking that, because now you're working as the head of sales in Lidronomics, how do you actually face any language barriers at work? Or how do you deal with our clients here? Yeah, I think that's a very interesting question. Because I mean,
it so happens that, yeah, good question. Thanks,
Karishma.
Karishma. I don't face any language issues because most of the clients I speak to speak English. So as a matter of fact, it's always very interesting when they meet from a country and they want to get to know where you're from. I think it helps my advantage anyways, because they would ask you, where you from? Nigeria. Nigeria, it gets very interesting fast. So I don't have any barriers from a language perspective. Because for the most part, the clients I engage with, they speak very, very good English.
Yeah, so you're lucky that you have a lot of clients who mainly speak in English, right?
Yeah.
Lucky you. Okay. All right. Anyone else has any questions to ask? Uh, do you think, okay, so Bernadette has a question. Do you think Malaysian immigration will consider for those who has an expired visa to consider what? You mean consider extending you due to this corona situation and lockdown? I don't think that so maybe it's a question that throwing out to you. I think it's pretty similar to Anna's question that says that so now that if their visas is expired, so is there a consideration that will extend their visas now that they are stuck with this lockdown situation? What do you think? Do you think they will extend? I think
I want to believe they will, because I want to believe they will extend because Corona is not what is not to say it's the foreigners who work in the country. We can't say that. I think the lockdown affects everyone in the entire country.
yeah.
I, it shouldn't be a problem for extension. If your visa is expiring, your school is obligated to help get it extended.
Yeah.
If you're working, it's your employer's job to help you extend as well. I don't think it would be an issue for students or professionals in the country.
Yeah. Indeed, what do you think? Do you think they will extend?
Based on my experience before, actually, for China, is the China embassy will collect the visa, then they will ask Malaysia to extend like 2 weeks or 15 days. But I think you should go and check for your country's embassy in Malaysia to seek the help from them. So probably they can give you some instruction on in detail how do you encounter these issues. From right now, as far as I know, if me, myself, and other China student here, if they want to go back, if their visa is already expired, they can still board the plane to go back. So I think I'm not sure about other country yet. So yes, you can seek help from your own respective country's embassy in Malaysia.
Yeah. So Bernadette, I hope both of them has helped you to answer your question. Mary, you have anything to add to that?
I think for us, the embassy said that we can stay even if it's expiring, and then there will be something, a document I think will be given to us so that we don't get any penalty, something like that.
So I think Bernadette, you need to check with your embassy to see what is their terms and conditions. Why interesting?
I think Siasan, for the Ghana embassy as well, what they are doing is collecting information and asking all those who are Ghanaian to come forward so that they can actually help them with any issues that they're having during this COVID period. So I think a lot of the embassies are actually trying to contact the foreigners that are here, I mean, their own citizens, and trying to see how they can help with this kind of issues at the moment. I actually wanted to bring up a question. Andy earlier was talking about discrimination faced by his friends from China during this COVID time, and we all know that the media is calling it the China virus, among other things.
Yes.
But besides this discrimination, those from China, right? What about the rest of you, like Michael and also Marie, right? Have you faced any kind of discrimination, either during the virus or even before this? Like Michael, you're a working adult here, right? So you work with different clients. Has anyone treated you any differently because you're a foreigner, as well as Andy and Marie? Even before coronavirus, has there been any such instances that has occurred?
I don't think I've had, for 2 years, I haven't had any personal encounter in regards to discrimination to my face. I haven't had any of such. But I've heard stories how you get discriminated based on your race, color of your skin, which it's sad that happens, but I personally haven't faced it. Yeah, so I think there is a level of trust in every country you go to. But I haven't actually faced it. Yeah.
I will say that Michael is actually a very lucky person because he have never faced it for the past 13 years here. Okay. Mary, anything to add on to this?
I don't face any discrimination in terms of the coronavirus. It's only that everyone was saying we should stay far from the foreigners because they might have just traveled and everything like that.
But before
apart
this
from that,
coronavirus thing, before this, do you actually have encountered any situation before about being stereotyped or being discriminated in any ways? Have you encountered any of this situation here?
I won't say I have like been discriminated in the good way. Like when you travel and then when people see you, they will try to figure out, okay, where are you from? And then they will look at you and try to figure out, okay, you're maybe from Africa or you are from India, or they will try to figure out. And it's quite amazing. And then telling them, oh, I know I'm from Mauritius. This is quite funny. But no, I haven't faced any kind of discrimination.
Mary, to help you, right? If any possible ways to make them even more curious, you can start speaking to them in French. They'll be even boggling in their mind, thinking, "Where is this person from?" Really?
I travel by Grab like often, and they see my name, and some say, "Oh, you have a French name. Are you from France?" And I say, "No."
Yeah, very interesting indeed. So, Andy, anything else you want to add about being discriminated or stereotyped before coronavirus? Have you had that situation before? I think,
Me personally,
yeah.
until this moment, I haven't encountered any obvious discriminated to me, but probably in the back. So, yeah. But before the coronavirus, I heard some cases. So before the lockdown, before the MCO, so one of my friends, she was chauffeured away in the supermarket because she was wearing a mask.
Mm.
So I think that was one of the case. So I think that was pretty sad. And so, but other cases probably just story happened to others. But for me, personally, I haven't received any like obvious discrimination to me. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I think
Yes.
to your question earlier, you said before coronavirus, right? Not.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Before that. Yeah, you take it there because I don't believe in 13 years you have not gotten anything. That will be a very lucky ground, though.
I thought you meant in regard. I thought you meant in the context of corona.
No.
Oh, well, yeah, I have had a ton of it. I think with issues like renting an apartment, it has to be where you're from. So if I said I'm from Africa, like we're from Africa, Nigeria is like a no-go.
Yes.
This is an assumption on and I don't think that's fair. You don't get, they won't rent you apartments. Sometimes Grab guys won't want to pick you up or taxis. Back in 2009, 2010, it was pretty tough.
Yes.
Taxis won't pick you up because you're black.
Correct.
People don't sit next to you in the bus because you're black. People move like it's away. It's really, yeah, but I kind of got used to it after 15 years. I have a thick skin now, so I can. But I think there are a lot of Malaysians who don't care. They see you for who you are. They ask you where you're from. They get excited to know who you are, and they take one of theirs. So most people make it, oh wow, make more intense, want to be in the country.
Yeah.
And those who don't know you out of ignorance, I think there are a lot because a lot of the overseas experience is diversity and inclusion. Every race has to offer. It's a question of open, wanting to understand them a lot better before you judge them, and we'll have a more happier place.
Yeah, true, definitely. I think it's definitely more of the open mind to understand, and not to add on to Michael's case as well, because I've actually had one of our students as well, one of my class students, when I did ask questions like this, he said the moment that he reached Malaysia, the moment when he took, there's the train, the KLIA Express that actually from the airport they can actually go to KL Central, the train. So the moment he and his sisters set foot in Malaysia and took the train, they already faced discrimination. Like by the time when because the train was packed and they couldn't find a place to sit, so they saw an empty slot, and the sister was sitting there. Once the sister sat there, like everyone just moved out from the bench. Like you can sense the tension. Like, oh, what is this? So they say the moment I set foot in Malaysia, I feel I have encountered this sense of discrimination towards that. I said it's very true, and then I think that unfortunately to say that it is really it is a very sad scenario to see that we are not that open-minded to actually embrace new people, new things, and new culture per se, and that is something that we should actually learn on. But I can see that from today that I am really like to I think Michael is a really great guy. We should really hang out. He's a very nice guy that we can actually sit down and have a chat with, because it seems like he's really enjoying himself very much here in Malaysia. So yeah. So any more questions for our panel, for our participants, for our panel before we close for the discussion session? Anyone else?
Can I ask Mr. Michael a question?
Sorry, you want to ask who?
Mr. Michael.
Okay, great.
As a fellow African, like, what advice do you have for someone who is planning on working in Malaysia? Like, what tips or advice would you give?
I think I tell a lot of my friends people like who say they want to stay with a job. You have to be very clear what kind of job you want to apply for, and always get a head start. Like Andy mentioned, do a lot of internships while you're studying. That gives you like a baseline of some level of experience. Because most employers want to hire foreigners who have some level of experience in working in an organization. Sets you slightly from everybody else, and the field you choose to go into is very key. Right? Because remember, Malaysia has 33 million in population, and they don't lack people to work in various organizations. So if you're going to join companies, you need to be the exception. Have some experience, get good grades, and research way earlier before you graduate, because the process can be pretty tedious as well. So and I think there's a lot of possibility. Once you get into the system, you get a job. The sky's the limit. I've been working for 8 years, and I've worked in great organizations in the last couple of years, and it gets better. And that's my advice for anyone who's looking to stay back to work in Malaysia. It's a great place to want to be. The weather is amazing. The food is great, even though I don't like to eat a lot. so I think it's a good place to want to be around.
You mean you don't really eat a lot in Malaysia? Gosh.
I eat one exactly. I know.
Yeah, thank you so much for your advice, Michael. I think that really helps a lot. Yeah, to help some of our participants here to understand some of the situation as well. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. So I really, really enjoyed this session really much. I think if after this MCO is been removed off, I think we really should have a hangout session. Let's go to Mamak stall, and then have our teh tarik. Let's do the Malaysian style of hanging out together. I think that would be really good. So before we end, let's have Cheryl to share for our next session, because this is the part 1 of the session. We're going to have a part 2. So Cheryl, do you want to share about our part 2 session?
Hi guys, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, I'm sorry if there's any disruptions because I have a 2-year-old running around. Okay, I just wanted to mention that for our second part for foreign in Malaysia, we're going to be looking at how refugees and migrants are actually dealing with the situation of COVID-19 currently. And we'll also discuss the similar issues that we discussed today in terms of discrimination, in terms of jobs, visa permits, those kind of things as well. So we actually want to look at how those who are we are speaking to working professionals today and those of you who are students, but the case is very different for those who are refugees as well as migrant workers who are also foreign in Malaysia. So what is the situation they're dealing with? And I'm going to bring Adrian Pereira, which is from North South Initiative, is the director that runs NGO, and he works a lot with migrant workers, and I'm trying to get someone else as well. She works with refugees, and especially now because of this COVID-19 issue, there's been a lot of help needed for migrants and refugees, and because of their status as well, makes it very difficult for them during this time. So I hope that the next episode, you guys will join us, so we can hear from their side what's going on, as well as what can we do to help. Whether you're a foreigner or whether you're local, how can you help other foreigners in Malaysia? Yeah, so I hope you guys can tune in for that next week.
Thank you so much, Cheryl. Thank you. So please do join us. Join us all for the next session. And thank you so much today for all our dear panels, Michael, Andy, and Mary. Thank you so much for your time for joining us. And thank you for all our participants here to join us for today's session. I wish everyone all the best. Please stay safe, stay healthy, and stay sane. Stay sane, okay? That's my last ad to
Sure.
stay sane, Right. Thank you so much, everyone. We shall see you guys soon.